Today I'm going to talk about Andamooka Gem Matrix. Now, this is an ordinary matrix. It's a different animal. About 4 or 5 years ago, I bought this parcel, and honestly, I didn't know what to do with it. It looked so beautiful. I didn't want to treat it for fear of ruining it. I was talking to Michael Ferguson, good friend, master cutter, and mentor, and he said, just treat it. What can happen? Well, I thought about it, and the worst that could really happen is something beautiful like this would just stay like this. So I decided to treat it. So this video today, we're going to examine what gem matrix is. We're going to look at some examples of gem matrix. We're going to treat some of it, and we're going to eventually cut a cabochon or two. So here's a piece of this gem matrix. Beautiful bright colors in the background. Looks really good just like it is. This green one is utterly spectacular. Perfect. Doesn't need treatment, right? Not to me. This little triangular one is very, very nice and would make a beautiful cut stone. Well, let's first cover the topic of what is matrix opal and how does it differ? How can you tell it from solid opal? Well, the answer is in the color patches. You can see the color patches in matrix opal have an irregular pattern. And this irregular pattern is distinctive because in regular opal, solid opal, the areas of color have smooth edges, like in this Australian opal, and also in this Ethiopian opal. So smooth edge color patches. What I believe is happening with matrix opal forms within sedimentary rock, sandstone, and these particles of color, opal, form actually between grains of sand or clay. And that's why they have this irregular appearance. So gem matrix opal is matrix that doesn't need treatment. That's my definition, nobody else's. Here's a nice piece of this gem matrix parcel. It doesn't need treatment, and so we could cut it right like it is, and it would be fine. This is the backside of a piece of gem matrix. That's real opal on the back. This matrix is very bright. We can make a cabochon out of it, and it'll be perfect. Doesn't need treatment. So I have the rest of this parcel of gem matrix. I decided to just go ahead, treat it, soak it in sugar and hot sulfuric acid, and 4 days later, I was so surprised. I was so surprised to see this black color. The black color means it treated well. I was really shocked. And the color, to me, is absolutely out of this world. I was, surprised. So let's look at the results of the treatment. Remember this piece? Well, that's what it looked like after treatment. This is a different parcel than the rest of it, but it's still gem matrix. You recall this one, I didn't see the red in this until it was treated. But treated, it's really a gorgeous stone. And it didn't need to be treated, but wow, it is really beautiful. This little triangular one was good like it was, but after treatment, it's just spectacular. Look at the deep red. The color is just astounding. This is among the best opal of any kind that I've ever seen. Here's a piece, a little bit lower grade. Those lines or striations going up the side end up on the surface as little dots and sort of give it a pinfire look. But That was before, and this is after. And this one is similar. It has these striations. Beautiful piece, doesn't need treatment, but look at this. I mean, how beautiful is that? This stone is just out of this world. It's just, I don't have words for it. So we have this one. It didn't need treatment, right? Well, maybe we'd have to rethink that. It's certainly Gem Matrix, and it treated so well. It came out so beautiful. There it is beforehand. But afterwards, it's just stunning. This is an interesting piece. On the surface, we see these little dots of color, and what they are is they're these striations, these tubes of opal reaching the surface and forming just little dots at the surface. I think I'm going to cut that one with the sides showing. Here's this one, and look at this. It's small, but there are some fabulous stones in this piece. No matter that there's a little bit of matrix left behind, that black in the middle. Here's one before treatment, and after treatment, it's just gorgeous. Here it is. What a nice stone. And remember our green one. It was probably the nicest of all as far as color goes, but afterwards, it's even better. So the burning question that I had was, does the glassiness of the material affect the treatment? Regular opal doesn't treat at all. That's regular opal on the surface of that one piece we have. That's the interface between matrix and regular opal. Solid opal doesn't treat. And glass doesn't leak. You don't fill a glass and have water pouring out the side. So I figured if it was glassy, nothing could get in, so it couldn't possibly treat. But does it affect the treatment, glassiness? Obviously not. So we can't use that as a criterion by which to judge how well opal will be treated. Now this is my favorite stone from the bunch. It has a thin layer of beautiful red at the top of a thicker bar of green and blue. So this is one that I chose to cut. There wasn't much cutting to do because I wanted to keep the same basic shape. I didn't want to go through the red, so I didn't want to mess with the surface too much. So after working it for a while, I just did slight shaping on it, got a little bit of a dome on the surface, and finally ended up with this, where I can see the blue on one side and the red in the middle. One little problem, although I didn't cut it much, I cut it enough to take off the treatment in that area, and so it had to be retreated. This is another one that I chose as a candidate to make a cabochon out of. I like the bars of color. So I cut a slice of it on the trim saw. Trim saws won't cut you, by the way, unless you have put your finger right on the blade and press. So here's the other half of it. I decided I'd go and cut another slice off and make another cabochon. So had a little trouble here because there's a little defect in the base of this thing, so I had to pick it up and do it by hand and just slice a little sliver of it off. This is the first one. The only thing needed on the back of it was just to remove that little nub, which was easy to do. Then I rounded it out and shaped it, and of course the treatment comes off, so it needs to be retreated. So 4 more days, sugar and acid, and this is the small one. It doesn't treat real black, but it's a beautiful stone, and I thought it would make a good pendant or a ring. And come to think of it, I think it's best as a ring. It seems to look very good. This is the larger one. It looks good as a drop pendant to me. But it might also be good as a ring. Let's see. No, I think this one should be a pendant. And finally, the king stone, the nicest stone, one of the nicest pieces of opal I've ever seen. This spectacular blue-green and bright red gem matrix. Just awesome. So here it is, the batch of treated matrix opal. That's me turning the wheel, actually. I really believe that gem matrix opal is the finest opal of all, and that includes Lightning Ridge black opal, Boulder opal, everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.